Okay, there we go. Right. Okay. Um, so agenda for today, I guess what we can do is probably I'll open up a document here. I'll share my screen in a second. Mm, yeah, let's do this one. Just give me 1 second while I. Okay, that's good enough. Let's share my screen. Okay, I presume my screen is visible. Oh, actually, it would be probably better if I did it this way.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yes, sir.
Let's do this one. That's probably better. Okay, so things we'll do. So first thing is I'm going to be starting with a blank system, okay? And then we'll be installing some packages and things of that sort to kind of get you an idea of what some of the basic things you will need to do in your setup. Now, for some of you, this might be very trivial. So if it is, then this session is not really geared towards you, but it's towards those who were struggling yesterday or in the past couple of days. I'll talk about the terminal, and I will also deal with Homebrew, something that is very useful. We'll talk a little bit about UV, Git, and LLM, and NPX. So this is roughly the agenda for today. We've got about 55 minutes, and I'll talk you through this process. So the first thing I wanted to say is macOS is a Unix based system. So I know that doesn't make any sense to some of you. What it means is it's similar in its underlying file structure and the way it's organized under the hood, like Linux. And for the purpose of this course, all the packages that we are going to be using and all the uh, tools, the workflows, everything will assume you're using Linux. This is why the first 3 sessions, they spent so much time getting Windows users to install WSL, because that's a bit of a complex thing to get started with. And most people are unaware of how to use WSL. For those who use Linux, there is no extra things apart from what I'm going to show today. And same for macOS as well. These things are the same for both Linux or macOS. macOS has some small little variation, and I will show what those differences are. But by and large, if you're using Linux or WSL even, you'll still be able to follow what we are doing today. So I'll fire up a VM, and we can start looking at this now. So. Okay. So the first thing you will want, of course, is a package called VS Code. And now this may seem trivial, but I'll explain some things that if you're not familiar with macOS, there are some things you should be aware of. So I'll just go ahead and download it. And if you're on, there are 2 kinds of Mac systems, okay? There are the older ones that were Intel based, and the newer ones that are what are called Apple Silicon based. So if your machine is newer than 2020, then most likely you have an Apple Silicon based computer. When I say 2020, it should have been manufactured in 2020. Okay, so 2020 onwards, It's Apple Silicon based. If it's manufactured before that, then it's going to be an Intel chip. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'll be using Apple Silicon because I don't have the older system. So just all you have to do is just download this particular file, and then once it's downloaded, you'll find that this application is available here. And now most people will tend to double click and run this from here. Don't do this for Visual Studio Code. And I'll explain in just a second why. What you really should do is drag it and put it in here. Okay. So I'll show that once again. Once you download something, right, this application, you drag and put it in applications. Okay. And once it's in applications, you run it from here. Now, the reason we do this is because if you run it from your downloads folder in macOS, it doesn't allow things that have been downloaded in the download folder to have certain access to some certain critical aspects of your system. So, for example, updates might not work correctly if you don't move it into your applications folder. So that's something to keep in mind. It's a easily done mistake because most applications don't have an issue, right? When you run it from wherever you want in the Mac system. But with Windows, if you want, with VS Code, if you want updates to be working correctly, then you should really drag that file that you download and put it in the applications window. Um, were there any of you who were unaware of that, or is this new information, or you already known this?
So I have moved it to the applications folder.
Okay. I mean, it's something you were aware of, or you?
Aware of, sir.
Okay. Okay. Right.
I mean, not for this, but generally for Mac, we usually tend to whatever we downloaded, put it in application if it is an application. That way we did.
Yeah. The difference is VS Code can run from the downloads folder. That's why I mentioned this. So if you just double click in the downloads folder, it will still open up. So you will think that you're getting a system that's able to run without any issues, but you will run into issues afterwards if you don't do it this way. So that's why I mentioned it. Okay, the next thing is something that will be very useful to you is setting up Copilot. Okay, um, you ideally should have Copilot using your GitHub education pack. Now, I won't be showing you how to get GitHub education, but you go to GitHub education, you just search on Google and search for GitHub education, and you will have to give your ID, student ID, or some proof that you belong to IITM, or even if it's some offline university, you give your student ID and you'll be able to get access to GitHub education. It is extremely valuable because if you look at so if you go here and if you look at the student developer pack, so one thing you will get is you will get Copilot Pro. Okay, so all the benefits that you had expected Copilot Pro you will get, which is you will get premium credits for AI. So for the models such as a Claude, Gemini, GPT, you will get premium credits, and that allowance is renewed every month. So even if you exhaust, and it's quite a generous allowance, but even if you exhaust it, they will renew it every month. So that's one very, very good reason to have it. And then there are loads of other very, very valuable things that they have given, okay, where you're able to get free credits for a lot of different things. So I won't go through this because it's not necessary for us to go through this. But the point being, try and get a GitHub education pack as soon as possible. Now, once you set up your VS Code, you want to set up Copilot. So then in that case, you will want to sign into GitHub. So you should already have a GitHub account. I presume all of you have a GitHub account. But if you don't, I'm not going to show you how to create one. You will have to discover that for yourself. It's not difficult. But assuming you've got a GitHub account, you just say continue to GitHub, and then you put your details in here, right? So here you would use your whatever account that you're using, which has the education pack on it. Okay. So
So for the education pack, we can use our personal email address as well.
yeah, it's whatever you have your education pack on. So uh, it's up to
Yes.
you what you want to use. But the point is, in order to connect your VS Code Copilot with your GitHub Copilot education, you have to use the appropriate GitHub account. Okay. So let me. Uh, just 1 second, okay, because I don't remember my password for this. Because this, what I'm showing you now is on a VM that is blank, which doesn't have anything on it, so that I can show you what you need to do and things like that. So just give me 1 second while I pull up my password for this. Okay. Apologize, I should have kept this ready actually, but I didn't remember to do this. Right. So just give me 2 seconds. Okay, and then what will happen is your Copilot will be linked to your VS Code. And if you look here, right, you will get access to premium models, right? So Claude Sonnet, 3.7 thinking, and it tells you at what rate you will use up the premium credits. So you can see 3.7 thinking is charged at 1.25, the normal rate, whatever the normal rate. And these are all free, okay? So you will get all those benefits if you connect it to your GitHub account with the VS Code. So those are some two very important things to keep in mind. The next thing we will do is what is on our agenda. So next thing is to, okay, so we'll work on the next thing is the the package manager that is going to be very useful for you. Okay, so I'll open terminal, right, and just make this a bit bigger. So in Linux, typically you will have a package manager called apt. Okay, that's for Debian-based package managers. And if you're on some other distro, then they have Yum and they have uh, Pacman and all these. That's dependent on the distro. Okay, but they're all the same. They're all package managers, and this is very important so that you will be able to get packages that you will be using throughout the course. So in macOS, there are two ways to get applications. The first was what I showed you. You just go to the website, you pick the package and you get it, and you install it in applications. That works for most general types of applications. But there are other packages that you have to get through the command line. So for that, you need some sort of package manager. And the best package manager and the de facto standard, I would say, is something called Homebrew for macOS. Okay? So just go to Homebrew, and then you'll see this line over here, right? Just copy this command here and go to your terminal, and then you just have to paste it in here and hit enter. Okay, then it'll ask you for the your macOS main password. Okay, so that you just put that over here. So if you notice here, it says sudo. This is the same thing like in Linux. Okay, it just means you're elevating. So normally when you're typing commands into your terminal, you're accessing it with lower privileges. So in other words, it is to prevent you from doing any dangerous changes to your underlying operating system. But sometimes there are some applications which require a little more elevated privileges because they need to modify certain system files. So that's what sudo is, okay? It's a command that elevates your access privileges. So that's why it is asking for your access privilege, because Homebrew is a package manager which will install things in your system binary folders. So that's why it's asking for. So that's what it means, okay? Okay. Then this you will notice, okay? So some of you may get this, some of you may not. If you don't have Xcode command line tools, which is a Mac application, then it'll say that it needs to be installed. So you just hit enter and let it do its thing. So meanwhile, while that is happening, I don't want to waste too much time looking at that while it's loading. The next thing we will want is an app. So that's the package manager, okay, Homebrew. The next thing
one thing, sir, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I did the same thing over terminal. It didn't ask for any password. Now I don't know whether it has been installed or not.
But is it giving you this?
No. I copied that URL as you said, and I put it on my terminal and hit enter. It didn't do anything. It's just sitting there.
I mean, there's no output at all.
No output at all.
Right. Okay. Okay, we'll have a quick look. You can share your screen so we can see what the issue is.
Okay, sir.
Just go ahead and share your screen, because that's very surprising.
So this is my terminal, sir. I mean, I'm sharing my screen, and I put that this GitHub content Homebrew install head install.
Can we go back to that page, the Homebrew page?
Homebrew page, okay. This is the one, sir, and I copied this one.
Yes. Yeah. You just have to click on that that little clipboard thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Now
can you close? Yeah. Can you close this terminal and
reopen?
Try again. Yeah. Just
I'll terminate this, and I'll go to terminal. I'll redo the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Just paste.
Hit enter. It's stopping me over here. Maybe some other security thing that is there, is it? Maybe I'll take a look at it a little.
Yeah, there might be some. Do you have some sort of security software installed apart from your, the regular macOS software? Do you have something extra that is installed on your system?
Maybe from sometime I use it for my office purpose as well. So maybe I'll check it with our IT.
Yeah, it's probably because what I'm showing you is from a completely blank macOS system. Okay, I'm running it on a bare, clean macOS system. So that way there are no other possible dependencies that are getting in the way. So I will not be able to troubleshoot what you're seeing.
I will do it, sir. Thank you. No problem. I'll check it up with my IT team.
But meanwhile, just follow the lecture so that you can see what's happening, and you may, at least get an idea of, and you can then rewatch later and do the same things. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Sir, I already have Homebrew.
One second. So Sujana has raised a hand. So I'll just take her question first. Okay. Yes, Sujana.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So this GitHub Copilot Pro, is it free only for 30 days for student account?
No. If you have GitHub Education, then the Copilot Pro is free for, I think it is probably at least 1 year, if not 2. But I think it's at least 1 year. It's free.
Yeah, I expected so, but I do have the GitHub Education pack. In VS Code, when I try to use it, it's asking me to upgrade to Copilot Pro, and when I click on that, I see that it's asking me to try it for 30 days.
Okay. There is one extra thing. The problem is I can't show you because I've already done it. Good thing you mentioned this. So there is something extra you need to do actually. You have to go into GitHub and when you like go into GitHub, the education part of it, right? There is
Yeah.
a place where you have to activate it. Right? There is a
Okay.
setting inside the website itself where you say, okay, I want to activate the Copilot Pro for this account. And
Okay.
only then it will give you the access. So,
Okay.
okay, so just search either on Google or um, even use GPT or something, but that's one extra step that you will have to do. Okay, you have to actually
Okay.
activate it within GitHub website first, saying that you want the Pro to be activated. Then it will automatically link to your VS Code.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll try that.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So we'll go back to what we were doing.
So just one small question. I
Yes.
already have Homebrew. I just want to know if the latest version is installed. Can I know the command for that?
Okay. So Homebrew, when you do Homebrew, I think upgrade it's called.
Okay.
Then it will um, automatically update not only the brew package, but it will update any outdated packages that you have installed using brew as well.
Understood.
But I'll show you now. You don't even have to run that command separately. When you're installing a new package, by default, Homebrew does that anyway. It will first run a check to see if
Oh,
everything is updated, and then it will also update any outdated bottles, as they call it. Okay, right.
got
So
it.
you can see here that Homebrew. Let me maximize this. So you can see here that Homebrew has installed, but there's something called next steps here. This is also uh, important to do. Okay, so you see, run these commands from a terminal, right? So do this. So copy all of this, right, till this colon or double quotation, I should say, and then go to your go here and then paste it in here. Okay. So what does this command do? So you can see it says run these commands to add Homebrew to your path. So the word path is in capital letters here. The reason for that is your computer system has a location uh, and it is given a name called path. Okay. We don't have to worry about where that path is, but just know that from a system perspective, there is a alias. Think of it as a nickname, okay, called path, PATH in capital letters. And the idea is whenever you install something and you want it accessible from anywhere in your terminal, when I say anywhere, I mean whichever folder you're in, whether you're 3 folders deep or you're at root, wherever you are in your system, you want to be able to run that application or that command. It looks to see if it is in path. So if it is registered in path, you can run that application from anywhere in your system. So Homebrew is one such package we want to be able to run from anywhere in our terminal, regardless of which folder we are in. So that's why we have this thing called path. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. So we'll run this command, and that's what it does. It puts it on path, and that enables us to then uh, run Homebrew from anywhere. Okay, great.
So, sir, what this Homebrew will do actually, it will organize the folder, path folder or something like that. I mean, what is the
Okay.
utility
Yeah.
for it?
Yeah. So Homebrew is a package manager. Okay. So what I mean by package manager is it's a way for you to obtain software and keep it up to date in your system. And there are many such packages that are available where you don't want to be going around the internet looking for them or things of that sort. So all you do is you just type a command and it will load that package and install it on your system without any problems. So that's what
Okay.
Homebrew is. It's a package manager. Okay. But it's a terminal based package manager where you don't have to surf the net to get what you're looking for. So
In that case, it can be optional as well, right? So in case if
it can be optional. But there are some advantages to
yeah,
using it,
okay,
which is why I'm mentioning it here.
sure.
So normally in Linux, you will use apt, for example, okay, to install packages. Now, when you're installing packages, sometimes they may have some dependencies. Okay, in other words, although you're installing a package, say for example, I'll give a crude example because many of you will know this, right? So say you're installing Flask, okay? Flask itself depends on other packages, right? So what a package manager does is a little bit one step ahead of a normal installation process. it not only installs the package you have, but it also checks if it has any external dependencies. And so then what it does is gets those external dependencies along with the package, so your package will have no problems running. So that's what makes it a package manager. Because otherwise, like you said, right, you can just simply go somewhere and download a package. A good example I can give you in Windows speak is if you were using a Windows machine, sometimes you may download a piece of software and then it will say, oh, you haven't installed Java, or it will say you haven't installed .NET, or you're missing this or you're missing that. That's because Windows doesn't have a package manager like that, right? So then you have to go scour and get whatever those dependencies are. Then if the versions are not right, then the software doesn't link up with each other correctly, and you have all these myriad of issues. Homebrew takes care of all of that, or any good package manager takes care of all that. You don't have to worry if downstream. So say, for example, your people who maintain that particular package, if there is a particular version that they are on, you don't have to worry that your dependencies will fail because the package manager takes care of all those issues for you. So that's the reason we use a package manager. Okay, so that's why I've shown it here. Okay, now the next thing we'll do is we'll install a package, okay? And it's called pyenv. So pyenv is a Python version management system. So now you might be thinking, why do I need a Python version management system? So if you install the latest Python package, 3.13.7, that's always on the cutting edge. And sometimes when the package is on the cutting edge, it may break some of the dependencies that your other packages rely on. So typically when you're deploying software, and because this course will deal a lot with deployment, and deployment, you don't want things to break during deployment. So typically you want to tie everything to a very specific version so that all your dependencies that go with it will not cause your application to fail. So managing the version of your application is very important. Now, most of you will probably use Python. If you don't want to use Python, that's your choice. You can use whatever language you're comfortable with. But because most people on this course will be using Python, I will show you Python version management. Okay. So one such application is pyenv. And yes.
Sir, the code that you previously mentioned of adding the Homebrew to the path, sir,
Yeah.
is the code is that code line same for the WSL, or is it a different line
No.
to add
This
it?
today, yeah. Today, there's nothing I'm going to be showing you that is related to WSL. Okay.
Okay.
In WSL, Linux has its own package manager. That's the one difference. That's why I'm showing this today for Mac OS users, right?
So no need for Homebrew, right? Okay.
There is no need for Homebrew. But having said that, you can, believe it or not, you can install Homebrew for Linux and have it install packages for you. So there is no harm in installing Homebrew on Linux or on WSL.
Yes, sir. Actually, I followed you and I downloaded it. So I just wanted to ask, like, should I add it to the path, and if I do,
Yeah,
the code will
yeah,
be
yeah.
the same.
Yeah. It'll be the same. And in fact, here's the other amazing thing, right? Homebrew has packages that are normally not available in apt as well. So you can increase the number of packages you actually are available to your system by using Homebrew. So that's one advantage. But
Sir, can you
yes,
please like paste that line, that code again? I cannot see it. I don't know where is that code.
you're talking about this line over here, is it? That comes when you install itself, this particular line. Okay, anyway, I'll put it in the
Okay,
chat.
okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Hello, sir. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
just connected late. Sir, I don't know. It's going for the OS only.
Sorry?
It's going for the Apple system installation part only.
I mean, this is what I'm teaching right now works on both Linux as well as Apple, but it's particularly for Apple people that I'm talking today about. But this, what I've shown, works for both sets of people using Linux as well as Apple.
So this session for Windows will be going to be there, na?
So Windows, again, you'll be using WSL, which is Linux. Okay, WSL is just Linux. So you can do the same thing in WSL, it will work as well.
Sir, sorry for interruption, but in I think in introductory session I ask you about that WSL in I want to download in my other drive other than C drive. I try to find that, but I do not get any clear cut video and tutorial and any documentation for that.
Yeah, okay. I
Are
won't
you able
be,
to give me that what I talking about in the
yeah,
maybe that documentation?
yeah. So I won't be able to do that today. Probably I'll discuss it with the other TAs and they will make some things available for you. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. Right. So next thing I'm going to do is we're going to install pyenv. Okay. So you can see here the command is very simple. It's just brew install pyenv. So I'll do brew install pyenv. Actually, let me clear the screen. It's just easier for you to see. So brew install py. And you can see straight away it gets the package for you. Okay. It will just finish now shortly. And pyenv is a Python version manager. So let's say you're want to your package to use 3.12 and you may think, why should I use 3.12? I'll use 3.13 as the latest package. Little bit later, I will show you a very excellent example why that's not always a good idea. Typically, you want to use maybe one version lower than the latest package because most of the things that depend on 3.12 will be very mature in their dependency as far as whether they run stably or not. So that's one reason I'm going to show you how to manage your Python versions. And meanwhile, while we're waiting for that, I'll show you something else also so that we don't waste any time.
I don't know why this command has not run
Pardon?
in my. This command has not run in my system. I don't know why.
You're talking about the
Brew, in,
sorry?
brew install जो भी command था ना वो run नहीं करा system पे.
This one, brew install pyenv.
Yes.
I'm not sure why it is not working for you because, like I said,
Mayur,
I'm
Mayur,
using
you
a
just joined, so maybe you didn't install Brew package. You first have to install Homebrew.
yeah. You have to install the brew package manager as well as you got to put it on path. Okay. Once you put it on path, you will be able to access brew from anywhere. So anyway, I've installed pyenv, the py version package manager. Now the next thing is let's see how we can use this to install the what you call it, the Python. Okay. So the next here is I'll do brew install. So there are a few more packages when you're installing Python. Python requires a few things as well, some build tools it requires. Okay. So I'll put these build tools here and I'll copy and paste this also into your window here. Okay. So you can see the command there. Oh, okay. It's giving no such file. That's it. Okay, fine. Okay, yeah, that's because I don't know how you got the user Carlton there because that's my name. So I'm not sure, that you're using the right.
Yes, sir, I got it. I've now it's rectified. Thank
Okay,
you. Yeah.
that's probably why. Okay,
Uh,
yeah. So the reason I pasted there is because someone asked me to paste it there. But typically, you will have one that is customized for you. Okay, when you install Homebrew.
yes, yes.
So just make sure you make that change there. Okay. Right. So yeah. So we'll install these build tools. Okay. These build tools are actually needed for building Python on your system. So that's what these build tools are. Now you may ask, well, I already have Python on my system. Why should I build any Python? That's because macOS typically comes with much lower version of Python than what is some of the newer versions. So macOS, I think they run on 3.9, and it's this very same reason, right? One of the famous things about Macs are their stability, right? So one of the reasons they're very stable is because they don't always go to the cutting edge of software and have things break. They only release things once they have done a lot of internal testing on their hardware and things of that sort. So Mac OS will have 3.9 come traditionally with it. But of course, if you want to use something more recent than that, then it is a good idea to have pyenv to be able to install it. Okay, so we have installed the build tools for being able to install Python. And now I'll share with you a special command, right? So this is particularly useful when you want to build a Python package. So I'll paste it into the window. Now, before you use it, I just want to explain it to you. Okay, actually, let me clear this and show you. Okay. Right. So this may look like a long, complicated command, and it is. But the only thing that you should remember in this command, if I can just make it a little bit bigger, okay, is all this, right up till here, okay, that is some configuration information, okay, so don't worry about that. The thing that really matters to you is this bit, okay, and this tells the application pyenv. So this is some environmental configuration variables, but this tells pyenv package, the one that we just brew installed just now, that you want to install the latest 3.12 of Python. So that's what it tells. Okay. Now this process will take some time. So once I do this, it will start. Okay, and it will continue and it will do it. So meanwhile, while that is happening, I will show something else. Okay, so I've shown you pyenv. I've shown you how to install a Python package using pyenv. And once we have that ready, then we will look back and see what else we need to do with regards to that. The next thing I want to show you is will be, yeah, let's do UV, because that's the next thing you will need anyway.
Sir, can you just slightly push this browser away from the terminal? I was just trying to note that a command. Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
I've pasted it into the chat window anyway.
Okay, sir. Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So we let this carry on.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, this brew install commands because अभी मेरे सिस्टम पे मुझे समझ नहीं आया मुझे क्या करना है तो विंडोज का है तो
so in Windows you would still use WSL. Okay, you have to do everything what I've shown you. If you use WSL, it will work. All these things that I've shown you will work in WSL.
क्या सर ये कल थोड़ा रिपीट होगा क्या विंडोज पे?
No, today I'll be focusing mainly on macOS and Linux users. Okay, but whatever I've shown you today will work in WSL, 100% for sure. Okay. The only thing that might be a little bit different is the pyenv.
I mean to say sir, कल next session में Windows के लिए होगा क्या?
Yeah, from tomorrow onwards, it will be a general session for everyone, Mac OS, Linux, Windows, everyone, it will be a general session because everyone should be on a Linux-based system anyway. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So the next thing is this has been shown, but again, it's worth going through this. So we want to install UV as well. So UV, when you go here, something that I was trying to make sure that people understood is don't click on, this is particularly for Windows users, don't click on Windows and install, okay? This is not, you should not do this, because then it will only run within your Windows environment and not on your WSL environment. So don't do this. Whether you're Windows, in which case you should do it on WSL, or whether you're on Mac OS or Linux, you still should use only this command over here. Okay, so you just copied it to the clipboard, and I'll open a new window here. Okay, and it will install UV. Right, so UV is installed. And it says again, to add it to path, you either do this or restart your shell. So UV allows you to restart your shell. So if I just close this and reopen it, UV will be available. So we'll do that. Meanwhile, let's see if it's finished building the Python. Yeah, so it's finished building the Python. Okay, you can see Python has been installed. Now, the good thing is, since we have installed UV, now I can demonstrate some beautiful things. Okay, right. Whenever you want to create a new project, right? You typically create a folder, and then you start working on a project. You have to get into a new habit from now on. When I say from now on, I'm not just saying for TDS, I'm saying for any subject that you're doing. Okay, it's good habit, because when you're building projects, almost inevitably you will be using Git. Okay, a very, very important industry skill. I mean, I can't think of a single industry in tech, when you're talking about computing, data science, whatever it is, right? I can't think of a single industry where Git is not being used. So it is absolutely essential that you use this kind of a workflow. Now, we will teach you some Git commands, but today I will not be going through a lot of them, but I'll show you an easy way. Okay, when you're creating a project, you want to create a Git ignore, you want to create a certain set of files. What we can do is we can just okay. So first, let me show you, like yesterday, there is ls, and this tells you where you are. So it shows all your documents, this, that, and the other. So here, what I'll do is I'll just I'll make a new directory. Okay, I'll call it GitHub. Okay, so in this folder, I'm going to have all my GitHub repositories. That is, so GitHub is the online counterpart of Git. Okay, so don't confuse the two. Git is locally on your system, but GitHub is online. Okay, so GitHub is like the remote Git, and the Git on your system is your local Git. So I'll make a directory called GitHub. So if we do ls again, you'll see there's GitHub. Okay, so let's go to GitHub, and from here I will do whatever I wanted to do. So I want to create a project, right? So I'll say UV init, and then I will give it a project name. So we'll say TDS 25 T3. Okay, so from now on we will use this Git folder, which eventually I'll push to GitHub as well, so you will have access to it. I'll do this. Okay? So it does this. Okay, let's go to VS Code and have a look what has happened actually. Okay, so I'll go here, say open folder, and I'll go to GitHub, and we can see this folder here. I'll say open, and say yes, I trust the authors. Now notice, it has done some important things. So it's already done a git ignore, right? I'll explain this maybe in the next session also, but this is an important file, git ignore. There's a Python version. So notice what it shows, 3.9, right? Because that's what's generally available on the system. So I'll show you how to fix that soon. And then it just creates a main function. Then there is a dependency file and the README file. Okay, fine. So it's done all these things ready for you. Now, if I go back to our terminal here, and besides, you can also use the VS Code terminal like Hrithik was showing yesterday. Okay? So there's no issues, but I want to make the terminal a little more visible here, so that's why I'm showing it here. So CD TDS, okay, and then as you can see, these are the files here. Now you'll notice that certain files you cannot see. That's because there is a dot in front of the file. That means they are kind of hidden. You can think of files with a dot in front as hidden files. If you actually want to still see them, you just do ls-a, and then that shows you the hidden files. Now you may see a dot and a double dot. The dot means this is points to this current directory, and double dot points to the parent directory. And then these are all the files inside. So now you can see that these are visible. Okay, great. Now, if you remember in Python, whenever you wanted to add what you call a package, right? Like a library, like Flask, then you would do two things. One is you would create a virtual environment, and then you would activate the virtual environment. Then you would pip install the application in that virtual environment, and only then you can use it, right? You don't have to do any of that. You just type uv, and then you put add, and if it's Flask, I think it's FLASK, right? Is it capital F or small f? I don't remember. Right? That's it. Done. But look what's happened here. It has created the virtual environment. It has activated the virtual environment, and it has installed Flask inside it just by doing that. Okay. So pretty amazing. Then if you look on here, dependencies, Flask is already on here. So that works fantastic. So as you can see, it's very, very easy and straightforward to use. And then, you can import it in here or whatever else you wanted. Okay, that's fine. Then if you want to remove the package from there, right? So if you want to remove the package, that's also simple. You just say uv, I think it's remove, if I remember correctly, or uninstall Flask maybe. Uninstall Flask. It's uv remove from it. Add and remove maybe. Yes, remove. So add or remove, and it's removed Flask from it. And you can, as you can see over here in the dependencies, it's gone, and the packages will remove. It's as simple as that. Now I know that you might be wondering, what's the point of all this? The main reason we are showing you UV and why it is so powerful is when you create intelligent applications, right? So what do I mean by intelligent applications? You will type some command, okay, or some prompt, and it will go to an AI agent, okay, and you will be building these systems, right? When that query that you're sending to the AI agent goes there, your application will write code on its own, and it will require some dependencies, and you will not be around to decide how to install it, where to install it, all those things, right? So how is your intelligent application going to load all the dependencies, create the virtual environment, all these things in one go? This is how it does it. We tell it to use UV. This is why you should have UV on your system, because when you create intelligent applications, they will use UV. They will, in a single line of code, be able to load whatever is required, the dependencies for your intelligent application, which you did not write. Remember that. This is a program that has been written by the agent. See, now typically your ChatGPT workflow is what? You go to ChatGPT, you type something, it'll provide some code, you copy the code out, you paste the code into your system, you run the code, you check for errors. If there is an error, you put it back into GPT. We don't want to do any of those things. And we will teach you how to do that, where you don't do any of those things. Instead, you will tell your application, please write a program that analyzes this file, and I want you to create a machine learning model for it, and I want you to produce some findings from it. That's all you will tell it, and you will give it a file, okay, a data set you will give it. Your intelligent application will have to create the code, run the code, build the dependencies. All of this will be done automatically by the system. And UV is a key component of that, that enables it to do it seamlessly. Okay, so this is why UV is important. So I know we didn't show a lot about what UV does, but I hope this gives you a little bit of intro. We still got several weeks to go, and you will see how this becomes useful further on. Okay, the next thing I want to show is we'll install GitHub CLI. Okay, that's a very important. So now I've shown you that we have a git ignore, and in fact, it has initialized a git package here. So that's why. So that's another thing that UV did. Okay, which you didn't see, but you see this green color here and this U. That's because GitHub also, sorry, UV also initialized a Git repo for you automatically. It initialized it and it added the files to it as well. So that's why you can straight away go here and commit them. So UV has done all of this automatically. So many commands it has run without you even knowing. And it has done all the things that you would normally need in your workflow. Okay, so that's another advantage of using UV versus any of the previous methods of doing things. Okay, so automation wise, it's very useful. Okay, now let me show you GitHub. Okay, because that's an important part of it. Right. So to get GitHub CLI. So again, when you use GitHub, normally what do? You go online and you get things that way or whatever it is, right? But what we want to do is access it directly from our terminal and do all the things related to it from our terminal. So for that, there is something called GitHub CLI. So CLI just stands for command line interface. Okay. Again, can you see here? It says brew install GH. That's all you have to do, right? So you go here, brew install GH. And that's it. It gets all the package, right? Nothing, you don't have to drag, open downloads folder, nothing like that. So GitHub CLI is installed. Now, we just created this new repo, right? And we want to push this repo to GitHub. Okay. So how do we do that? So the next thing we have to do is, let's say GitHub repo create. We'll put this over here, and we'll say it's TDS 25 P. Yeah. And don't worry about these commands just at the moment. Okay. Course. Okay. Briefly, I'll tell you. So I'm telling GitHub, which we just installed, that I want to create a new repo, and the repo is this is the username, and this is the repo name. Actually, there's a put this one over here, right? Okay. Yeah. So I want to put create this repo. I want it to be public. Pushing is pushing from your local system to the GitHub repo. And then the source, I put a dot. So if you remember earlier when I showed you, and this was also told yesterday as well, but just as a recap, right? When I do ls, actually ls dash. So this dot represents the current directory, right? So it's no different actually. I'm telling the source of this GitHub repo is whatever is inside this TDS 25 T3 folder. So that's what that dot represents. So let's do that. Let's see what happens. So it's saying, hey, first you have to get authorized. Okay. So it's telling me run this command first. So I can't straight away start creating. I have to first get authorization. Now this step is very important. Okay. Just follow this very carefully. I'll also paste it in here. Okay. GitHub authorization. So it'll ask, where do you use GitHub? So you choose github.com and say you want to use the HTTPS, right? And yes, you want to authorize with your GitHub credentials. Say log in with the browser, then hit enter. It'll open the browser and then say continue. Right, okay, and it's asking me for the code. Which is actually in the terminal. Yeah, this code. Okay, you see this 4 or 8-digit code which are in 2 segments of 4. So that's what it's asking for. So let's put this to the side here. Okay. 46825. Okay, and it says it requires authorization, so say yes. Okay, so now your GitHub is permanently linked to your terminal. Okay, so now you'll be able to run all GitHub commands from your terminal. And why is this important? Again, it comes down to automation. Right now we're typing things manually, but in your project, you will see that you will require GitHub automation in there. So unless you have GitHub CLI running, you will not be able to do your project. Okay, so this is why we had to install the GitHub CLI package. You were asking why are we doing this, so I'm explaining you why you will need it downstream. It's all needed for automation. So now we will redo that repo that we wanted to push. Oops. No commits found. Oh, sorry, I forgot to do our commit, right? So there is a workflow in GitHub. After you make any modifications, the first thing you've got to do after doing that is you have to commit it. Okay, so we'll do that. So git commit. We will review these git commands in more detail in another session, okay? Because it's the same for all users, whether it's Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. So -m means there is a message. So we'll say this is the first commit. Okay. Now it's saying, hey, wait a minute. There is nothing to commit because there are no files being tracked. So there is one step before doing a commit, and it is we have to say what files we want to commit, right? Because sometimes when you're working on something, you may decide, hey, I don't want to put everything, I don't want everything to be tracked. Maybe there is some secret file here which has some secret, like a key, like an API key or something, right? You don't want those to be in there. So that's what git ignore is used for. But another way to make sure that something is not being committed, a good example of that would be, say for example, you have a huge data file. Okay, so a big 100 GB data file or whatever, 1 GB data file, and you don't want to really commit that. You want to track all your code, right, that is actually being created. So for that reason, you can choose what files you want to commit versus what files you don't want to commit. So I'll just do git add and a dot. Okay, so that means I want you to track remember the dot represents all the files in the current directory. So that's what that does. So that's added. And if you look here from U, right, which was initially untracked, it has changed to A. These have been added. Okay. Now, again, you may turn around and say, hey, I can do all this using the GUI. Yeah, that's great. But how are you going to do it automated, right? When you have a project that has to work without your intervention, you will need to know these commands, right? So that your project is able to run without any issues. So we have added the files. Now I'll do a git commit, right? Same thing, message is the first commit we are doing. Okay, and you can put any meaningful message you want. Now it has committed them. If we go back here, notice nothing is there. And if you look at this, all those special marks are gone because now it has been committed into Git. Now we will go ahead and create the repo. Now, if anyone has done creating GitHub repo repositories before, and they've done it online, you know what a pain it is, right? You go to the website, you upload the files, and there's a whole rigmarole with that, right? Here, in a single command, right, across this terminal, I can do that all in just one go. Done. Now, if you don't believe me, right, you can go here, go to GitHub, and now, because remember, I made it public, it's accessible to everybody who's in this session, okay? So I go to GitHub, right? And it was called TDS, TDS, can't spell, 25 T3, yeah, okay? So anybody in this session, and indeed around the world, yeah, can go to this, and you can see that my GitHub repository is available for everyone to see, right, with the files that we just created. And that was accomplished by just typing a single line of code. No complicated things to do. Okay. I know it will take a little bit of time for you to get used to this, but hopefully you've been following everything so far and are able to understand what's going on. Okay, let's see what is next. Okay, so GitHub was very important. We covered how to connect your system to GitHub. We showed how to deal with Python and Python installation. Okay, one thing quickly I wanted to show you as well. So remember here our Python version was 3.9, right? If you want to change it, it's actually very simple. You just you can change it either in the terminal. So one way is you say pyenv, and if you look at, I think it's called versions, right? So it'll say system. So that 3.9 you saw, that is macOS's system Python. That you cannot change at all, okay? Because the system depends on 3.9. But you can decide to run 3.12 for your projects. So we can do that. We'll say pyenv, and we will say local. So that means in this particular folder, I want you to use this version, okay? So if you go outside this folder, and I'll show you now in a second, okay? Said pyenv local 3.12, notice py version changed, 3.12.11, right? Now if I do versions, pyenv versions, notice there is a star here, right? Because inside this folder now, it is only going to use 3.12.11. Let's go outside this folder and have a look now. Pyenv versions. Okay, what is it showing? Outside that folder, it's using 3.9. So for your specific project, this is the beauty of this, right? For your specific project, it is fixed to that. So whatever work you do inside that folder will only be that version. Okay, any questions so far? I'll take a few questions before I continue. So Sujana, yes, please.
Yeah, sir. So could you explain the output of the first pyenv versions command?
So the first pyenv versions, when I typed it, it shows that in that, so remember we were in the folder TDS 20_25T3, okay? So when I typed pyenv versions, it was showing that there are two versions available on the system. One is system and one is 3.12.11, okay? And because we hadn't chosen a version, by default it was running, as you remember, it was showing 3.9 in here, right? So by default it was running 3.9. If a version is not chosen, it will use the system version. And then what we did next is we said pyenv local, and we said 3.12.11. And then when we did versions, it said, inside this folder, from now on, I'm running 3.12.11. So that's how it works.
Okay. In the output of the first command, it says version 3.9 is not installed. What does that mean?
So that's because we had this Python version file here, right? Remember, and it said 3.9.
Yeah.
Okay. So what pyenv was doing is when we said versions, it was looking for 3.9 it was looking for what you call for it. It's called a shim. Okay, that's the technical term for it. So pyenv creates what are called shims, which are special places in your system where it stores its own version of Python, which does not interfere with any other Python on the system. So what it's saying here, this 3.9 is not installed. It's saying that it doesn't have its own shim of 3.9.
Okay.
So that's what it's saying, because we didn't install specifically 3.9 with pyenv. So it's saying, hey, I don't have my own version of 3.9. There is a version, it's in the system, but I don't have one. So that's what it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Ashwin.
Sir, now you are using this terminal and you are you did UV init and all. So if I open new terminal, then if I check the Python version there for this folder, same workspace, it will show the same works like 3.9, or it will show some other version.
So when you're
For
creating,
example, yeah.
see,
For example,
I'll do it right now. Yeah, I'll do it right now. So so you're saying if I do UV init and some new project, right? So your name is Ashwin, right?
Yeah.
So we'll call it Ashwin. Okay. So a new project, Ashwin, right? So now when we created this new project, and if I go here, and you can see there are some files here, but we actually want to see the Python version. So I'll do Python cat Python version. What do you see here?
3.9.
Yeah, because we haven't set anything outside that folder that we were initially working with will always be 3.9. Now you may say, actually by default, I don't want 3.9, right? So what do you do? So pyenv has something available for that also. What you do is you say pyenv and you say install 3.12. Actually global, I think it's called. So you do global 3.12.11. Okay. Now what happens is if I go outside, right? And if I do pyenv versions, what is it showing?
3.12.
Yeah, 3.12.11, right? But remember
Yeah.
earlier when we were looking outside the folder, it was showing system, right? Because
Yes.
now I've told pyenv that, hey, I want 3.12.11 to be a global Python no matter where I go in the system,
Okay.
right? So I've used the word global
But
for that.
But for example, now in the Linux, we use like different terminals, like Control T. We use
Sure.
clear. We open new
Yeah, even
terminal.
if you open a new terminal, it will be the same thing because it's not dependent on the terminal, right? It's a system setting. So if I go here, right? So if I go, sorry, it's not very clear. If I go pyenv, so now we are nowhere in the GitHub folder, right? But we set the global version to be 3.12.11. So
Okay.
notice here, it is
Okay.
3.12.11. So it's
Okay.
not dependent on the terminal. It is a system setting. Okay.
Okay. And another question, because this UV will
Yeah.
create the because when I was reading this UV document,
Yeah.
so it mentioned that you don't need to install the packages by yourself. Like UV will take care of
Correct.
that. So
Correct.
in that case, so if I am having very low memory laptop, like laptop having
Yes.
very less memory, then
Yes.
with that also I can run the huge projects by using UV and NPX or something.
Yes. Yes. This is another major advantage of UV. I didn't talk a lot about UV because I wanted to cover a few important topics, but there are so many advantages. So one thing with pip, okay, when you're doing pip, each VNV virtual environment folder you use, right, for pip, you will create multiple copies of the same files and it will be hogging up your system. Okay. Whereas with UV, there is only one version of UV and it using some clever pointer system, it uses the same one copy that it has, but it somehow maps it virtually to any project that you have. So you
Okay.
only keep one copy in your system basically, but you are able to dynamically have it use across various systems, and it's very resource efficient compared to pip. So that is not an important thing to know, but it is something useful to know generally from an application
Uh,
development perspective.
so, sir, if
And sir, sorry, you just also showed the example of GitHub, because
Yeah.
look, earlier I used to open the GitHub and create the repo, and
Yes.
afterwards I use the terminal only, git push, git
Yeah.
the other instructions.
Yeah.
So in that case, the automated command you mentioned,
Yeah.
gh, and so
Yes.
that is only the first point we need to do, because other than this we always do git clone, git put, git push, git pull, that all the commands from the terminal only.
Yeah.
So that is
Those are for your local Git. Yeah.
okay, because for pushing we use git push, that server, or git push, the
Hmm.
branch name. So that are not the automation command, or is there another automation
Yeah.
command?
Those are also automation commands. But the main advantage with GitHub CLI is there are some GitHub specific things that you cannot do on Git, right? So one example I'll give you is something called GitHub Actions, right? It's a specific feature of GitHub, right? So
Okay.
how you're going to do that, right? You can't use Git for that.
How
So
means
this is
that
why
creating the YAML file or something like that?
yeah. So there are some various GitHub only functions, right?
Okay.
So those things you will be able to execute using GitHub CLI. That's why it was important to install the application.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And the brew command I just tried on my Linux system, brew install gh.
Yeah.
It did not recognize brew. Maybe I need to see some other command for installing
Yeah.
GitHub.
There are different instructions for Linux. So when you go to the website, you will find them. For Linux, there is a different set of instructions, I think.
Okay, sir. I will check, sir. No worry. I will check.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so Jana. Yeah.
So could you share the command you used for pushing to the repo?
So what I did is I created the GitHub repo from the command line and pushed it all at the same time. Okay. And I set it to public and private. So it's this command here.
Yeah, this one. Could you paste it in the chat window?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So if you want to make a private repo instead of public, you say private. Then it will be a private repo. So by default, I never push public repos. Okay. I always push private repos first, because I want to check, make sure that, there's nothing important that should not be public. So as a good practice, always do private first. So just something to keep in mind. Okay. Right. Let me just have a quick look at our agenda. So there was one more thing I wanted to cover, which was installing NVM node, that is node version manager, npx. Very important stuff that you will need later down the line. I think that's the only thing I have not covered in the agenda today. It will take at least, say, 20 minutes for me to do that. So I'll not do that today. But that being said, that is not macOS specific. Okay. Mayank, by the way, today was not just a class for Mac users. It was mainly focused towards Mac users, yes. But everything that I taught is possible to do in WSL as well as in Linux. Okay. But there were some small Mac OS specific things that I wanted to mention. So that's why I took this class today for those who have a little bit of issues with understanding the Mac system.
Sir, can you just repeat this one LLM wala part, sir? What did you do?
Yes. Yeah. So, okay. Okay, we can install LLM as well. So again, same thing. If I go here, I can show you. So brew, sorry, LLM, Foundry, I think it was called, right, from dataset. So remember, everything I did today was on a completely blank macOS. Okay. So you should have no issues doing any of the things I've shown you. Okay, so again, you can see this brew install LLM. So that's exactly what we'll do. Brew install LLM. And the next thing is, okay, now this is a very, very useful and important package as well. Okay. So once that's been installed, now the next thing is you want to set a key for this, right? And the question is, where do you get the key from? So if I go, I think it is GitHub. Yes. And okay, let me just get the URL. Come, just 1 second, okay? Because on the blank Mac OS, it's not not visible. AI. Yes. Yeah. So it is. Okay. So this is a feature that we have provided for all students who are taking TDS. So not for the whole of IITM, but only TDS students. You go to Anand's repository. Okay, I'll paste this also in the chat window for you. Okay, if you go to this repository, it's a public repository and it's called AI Pipe. And what he's done is he's provided you an open AI key. Okay, but it's not exactly the way you think it is. It will take a little bit of time for me to explain this, unfortunately. But for today, what we'll do is I'll just show you how to use it. But there are some quirks about it that you may not be aware of. Okay. And it's very important here. You have to log in with your student ID. okay? And you will get a key here, right? And you copy this key, okay? Okay, so that's copied. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to, first of all, set the key, right? So you do LLM and you do keys, set, OpenAI, okay? Because we are using OpenAI, okay? And then it will say, enter your key. So you do paste the key there and it's been set, okay? Now, once that has been set, the next thing you got to do is you've got to tell AI, you got to tell LLM that, hey, I want to use this key, but there's one slight problem. This key won't directly work with OpenAI, even though we are using an OpenAI search. Now, like I said, there's a good explanation for this, but I can't go into that today because there's no time. But we have to tell LLM, I want you to use the services of OpenAI, but I'm going to give you a different location to go through. Okay. In other words, think of it like, instead of going directly to the government office to get your license, you have to go to the driving school, pay the driving school some money and go via that, right? So this is a bit like that. Okay. You are going via the driving school instead of going directly to both of them will give you the same driver's license, right? But this is going through a slightly different path. So how do you do that, right? So what you do is you say export OpenAI base URL, okay, and say HTTPS. And if you're wondering where I got this from, it is on the what do you call for the documentation for the AI pipe as well as the LLM module. So OpenAI, I think it is. Okay. So what we have done is we have told that there is a variable in the system because this is what LLM will look at. It will look at this variable, okay, to know where to use OpenAI service. Okay. Once we have done that, now we can have a look if it's working. So we'll say LLM. What is 2 plus 2? Okay. 2 plus 2 equals 4. LLM. What do you think of Chennai? I don't know what he'll respond, but okay. Yeah, so it's saying some whole bunch of stuff. Okay, yeah, that's good. So we know it's working, right? So the reason it's working is two things. One, we gave it the key, and this is available to all TDS students. And each one of you will get an individual key. You have to use your login for that. And you get an allowance as well. It's $1 every 7 days. Okay. So $1 USD every 7 days. That's quite generous because if you see, let me reload this page. So you can see there's been some usage, right? Now, one thing to keep in mind is the default models are expensive. Okay, so the next important thing I should show you actually is let's use the cheapest possible model. Okay, so I'll make one more change. So right now by default, I think it uses 4.0 or something, right? Very expensive model. That's why that one request cost a whole cent, right? So very horrific, right? So, but I'll show you a model that is very effective and cheap as well. Okay, but it's also very, very good model. So it's nothing to sneeze at in other words. So it's called GPT-5 Nano. And I've told that we want to use this model. So now if I do the same thing, what do you think of Chennai? It might give a different response because we're using a different model most likely. Let's see. Okay, but notice it was much faster. Okay, now this is 1132. Let's see what it costs now. Okay, seems like it barely changed. Right, let's try something else. On LLM, write a small Python code for a fast API application. Yeah. So it's doing some thinking, right? So it wrote the application, and so here's the application, right? Okay, so that's fine. I'm not going to check it today. Let's see what. Right, so it's barely moving the needle at all. Okay, so there is a good reason for that. So if you go to OpenAI and API keys, go here, yeah, and you look at I think actually let me show you from a different browser because I've got the links for that. Yeah, so I show you on here. If we do model comparison, let's see. Okay, so if you look here, yeah, it might be a bit small. Okay, so remember, I think the default was GPT-4o, right? So input tokens per million are costing you $2.5. It's quite a lot, okay? Whereas if you look at Nano, what I just used, it's 5 cents per million tokens. Now, I know some of you don't understand what tokens are, and again, that will be in week 3 or week 4, or rather module 3 or module 4. We'll talk about this more in detail. So I won't go into it much now. But you compare this, right? 250 versus 0.05. I mean, this is more than what you would call 50 times cheaper, right? I mean, it is very, very cheap. So, and in the same, if you compare any of the other things, the output cost, right? $10 per million token output cost, whereas with GPT-5 Nano, it's 40 cents per million tokens. So there's the cost difference. But then you may say, oh, it's not a very capable model. That's not true as well, okay? When you look at what this model is capable of, right? It's very fast, it's multimodal, so you can take text and images as well. And if you look at some of its other comparisons, it's very, very good. Okay, compare, yeah. So if you look here, right, 5 nano, and 4.1, yeah. So you can see here. So notice 4.1 more expensive, but look, it cannot do reasoning, right? No reasoning, 4.1, even though it's more expensive. Whereas look at this, 5.1 nano has reasoning, right? So don't always think that some models are less capable or something, okay? There is value in the various models, okay? You'll have to carefully choose the ones that are appropriate to you. Anyway, I don't want to spend much time on that, but because there will be a whole separate session for all these things. So sorry I diverted a little bit, but I wanted to show you how to set up the GPT, the LLM. The other thing I want to show you just before we finish, okay, because we got into this now anyway, you may want to use a free model, right? So I'll show you, for example, how to do the Gemini one also, because that might be useful for you. So if you don't want to use up the ones we have provided, which is the OpenAI ones, I'll show you how you can use the Gemini one, okay? So same thing. The one difference is you will have to install the Gemini plugin, it's called, okay? So in order to do that, if you go to LLM dataset, so if you go here, you can see there is all this documentation. It's very good documentation. I would highly recommend you take the time to see all this. And there is a way to install other models. So I think it's LLM plugins. You go to LLM plugins and you can see a list of plugins. Oops. Local models. Yeah. yeah, Gemini. So it's called LLM Gemini. And if you want to use this model, then all you have to do is say LLM install LLM Gemini. So we'll copy this command, right? So it's a plugin for that same thing, LLM. So now it's installed. Same thing you have to do. You have to install a key as well. So we will need a key. To get the key, we will have to go to Gemini. I think it's called Google AI Studio or something, right? Google AI Studio. Google AI Studio. Right? And here you can get an API key. I won't show you how to do that here. I already have a key available, so I'm going to use that. Google AI Studio. And I just wanted to show you one last thing before we close for today. Key, get API key. Yes, this is my key. Copy. Okay. Oops. Where did that's it. Plugin file. Installing plugins. Install. Yeah, I think for installing. Yeah, yeah, okay. And then the second command you have to use is this one, okay? LLM keys set Gemini. So I'll copy that command as well. Okay, set keys, and then I'll paste the key here. Okay, now we can try it again, and I'll say LLM. What is this? Oh, that reminds me. We have to tell what model it's using, right? So right now it used the previous model, which was Nano. So one way to specify the model, in case you don't want to export the key, you do this -m, and then you tell the model you want to use. So you can see here, you can do -m Gemini 2.0 Flash. So we'll do that. Flash. Okay. So now it will use this model to run the GPT. So 4 plus 2 equal to 6. So you can see that's how we use Gemini. Now, one more thing I can show you, which is I'll transfer a file now. Okay. By the way, I hope you guys are okay, right? So far, I mean, I assume that there are no issues. You've understood everything. Has it been useful? I mean, you can open your mic and speak.
Very useful, sir.
Okay.
Completely lost somewhere.
Okay.
Useful, very useful.
Okay. I'll show you one more thing now before we finish. Okay. I know I keep saying one more thing. There's lots of things to cover. Okay. Right. So let me see this folder. Yeah. So I've got a file that will be useful for us to look at. So, right. So I've got a file here. Copy, and we'll move it into. Actually, we can go to it directly. I don't want to do that. Okay, I'll copy this file. Copy, put it in the downloads folder. Okay. So, you know, I don't know if you can hear this file if I play it, but we'll see. So, could you guys hear that or no?
No.
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 No sound.
Okay. So it's I don't know how to share sound on the system. Let me see.
Can you share in the chat? I don't. Sorry, I think it's
No,
not possible.
it is not possible on the this Google Meet.
Oh, not possible, is it, to share system sound on Google Meet?
No, system sound cannot be shared. If it is
In Zoom, you can do it. I have seen that.
Yeah.
In Zoom, it works.
Okay. Anyway, so this is a file in Hindi. Okay, actually, it's someone speaking some very what you call Shuddh Hindi, or very high standard of Hindi. Okay.
classical Hindi.
Some very complicated words he's using. I'm not very good at Hindi, but I feel when he's speaking that the words he's using are very technical and very complicated. So what I want to show you is how powerful using a CLI tool is. Okay. So here's what we'll do. Here. Oh, actually, I need to rename this file. So it's, where is it? So we'll just quickly rename this to something simple. That's why I wish you could hear it, because then you'd be more impressed if you could hear it. But let's do that, and we have to be in the right folder also. So
Share the file in the chat, then you will be able.
Sir, you share this command so we can locally try with
yeah. I'll do that. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Okay. CD downloads. Allow. Okay. So it's here, the file, and the command share in the chat window as well. You can use any file, okay, that you want. This particular file is an MP3 file, so the MIME that I've used for it is an MP3. Okay, so I'm telling use Gemini 2.5 flashlight, which is a very efficient model, and it's a multimodal, so it accepts audio files as well. And you can see I've given the command transcribe into English. Okay, and like I said, this Hindi file is very good quality Hindi. Okay?
Where have you shared this Hindi file?
Okay, so he's translated this. I don't know how to share the file on Gmeet. How do I do that? Does anyone know?
Sir, you can share it on Drive, like
on Drive.
Yes, I could do it on
link.
Drive. Yeah.
Drive link.
True. Okay. So if I file upload,
and that command you can copy into this message, sir. I mean.
Yeah. So I'll share you the file now. In folders, in this one. Yeah. Rename this so it's easy for you guys. Okay, so I'm uploading the file now. In 2 seconds, I'll share it with all of you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So by the meantime, can I ask you one question on this?
Yeah, you can go ahead and ask while I'm.
So by default, the LLM use if I'm not giving -m option, so LLM is using the OpenAI, the costlier model, or it will use the by default nano.
So by default, it will use whatever is in where is it? Whatever is in where is it? Somewhere here I had shown. The command here I had used. There is what do you call for it? A key, a variable name. Whatever is in that variable name, by default, it will use that variable name. I think I had shared it in the what do you call for it? The chat window as well. So let me just quickly have a look. Go here. So that's the command for that. This is the file as well. Okay, and remember this is using Gemini, so you have to set up your system to use Gemini, but you can use OpenAI as well, I suppose. But I just wanted to show using a free resource. As far as the LLM command, let me get you the command that shows. Okay, export. Yeah. So this is the. I'll paste this also in the chat window so you can see.
Sir, there is also another tool, another a terminals emulator for the AI stuff, like wrap. What is the advantage of using LLM this tool in terminal?
This is the one we are teaching. That's the advantage.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the one we are teaching. So we are not teaching other ones. Okay, other ones you will have to explore on your own. So
Sir, where did it translate? I mean, did you get that, the translation?
yeah. The translation is here. Can you
Oh,
see on the?
yeah. Sure. Sir.
That's a pretty good translation, right?
Yeah. Sure, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you've seen the file which I've just shared on your chat window, and if you look at the translation it gave, right, using 2.5 flashlight. Remember, flashlight is a very cheap model, okay, but look how good it is, right? And to the person who had asked the earlier question, right, by default, it will use this whatever model is mentioned in this variable here, LLM model, okay, and we had set it to GPT-5 Nano. So if I didn't use -m, it would have used GPT-5 Nano. Okay. I think
So
with that we will.
should I update in bash RC this export LLM?
It's up to you. It's if you put it in Bash RC, and if you're in macOS, it's not Bash RC. It will be ZSH RC. That's the minor differences between macOS and Linux. But you can put it there, and it will by default take it from there. Yes.
And if I
With
need
that,
anything, then I can use -m and another model name there,
sure.
right?
Yes.
So we can make many LICs for this for other models like.
Yeah. You can do different models and trigger it different ways. But the important thing I want you to take away from this is not how to use GPT, right? The fact that this is a CLI tool, and if it's a CLI tool, guess what? You can put it into automation. You can put it into automation. You can create intelligent agents, and that is the beauty of doing it this way, right? So I hope today's session has been useful. I have to leave now because the guards are going to soon come around and they want to close up the office. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
so I have to close this session. I hope
No,
it's
sir.
been
Really,
useful to
thank
you.
you a lot for this, because we were completely lost. Had this session not been there, we wouldn't have been able to do this actually. Yeah. So
Okay,
thanks a
Good
lot.
session.
okay. So tomorrow's session will be a general session for everyone as usual, because all these things we are teaching will work on every system. Just some minor differences I mentioned to you today, but going forward there shouldn't be any other differences that we foresee. If there are, we will mention it in the session itself.
Today's recording also we shared in the.
Yes. Today's recording
Okay.
also.
Yeah, because I missed something.
Thank you.
Sir,
Thank you,
could
everyone.
you?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Sir,
thank you.
I am having a small doubt.
I have
Very
to
small
go.
doubt.
I'm sorry. I have to go. Okay, because someone has already come around and asked me to close up.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
night. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
हाँ बहुत अच्छे हैं.